Hey there, saltwater anglers, and welcome to the Lower Chesapeake Bay Fishing Report, your local report, whether it's good, bad, or ugly. This podcast is part of the Great Days Outdoors Network, and each week we'll be talking to local experts to learn ways that we can become better anglers and stewards of this fishery, whether you're out fishing in the ocean, the lower bay, or its tributaries. We also ask that every angler do their part in sustainable fishing practices, keeping this amazing fishery healthy and thriving for generations to come. Spring is here, and the water in the bite is warming up. So let us take a minute and hear who's bringing us this week's show, and then we're going to jump into the report and find out what's going on. Check it out. AFTCO has a gift for our listeners. They're now offering a camo sunglasses cleaner cloth with any purchase of AFTCO products. For cool mornings, I love my Reaper sweatshirt. And on those hot days, my Samurai sun shirt. You just can't beat the quality and performance. All you got to do to get your coupon code is text LCBFR to 779-345-2918 to get subscribed to our email list, and we'll send you the promo code via email. Whether you're hitting the sand with set rigs using the traditional scent strips for pompano or fishing the flats or marshes for speckled trout, redfish, and flounder, Fish Bites has something for you. They're family owned and operated in St. Augustine, Florida, and pride themselves on making reliably consistent fishing products for anglers of all ages around the world. Fish Bites bait and lures are made with pride in the Sunshine State, USA. Check out the full line of scented saltwater and freshwater baits at fishbites.com. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this week's show. I'm very excited about this week's show because our first guest is one of our most common guests that we get to have on the show. I always love talking with him, Captain Bill Pappas aboard Playing Hooky. I saw some blue water in his recent stories, and I was like, oh, baby, I can't wait for a tuna update. Welcome back to the show, Captain Bill. How are we doing tonight?
Welcome aboard Playing Hooky. How you doing, man?
Doing good. I don't know what to think every time I go to your social media. I'm like, is he like a gardener or is he a charter captain? Is he a chef preparing a cookbook? Like every day it's some fresh new content. The berries from the backyard look delightful. The vacuum packed tuna looks delicious.
Oh man.
Catch us up, man. What have you guys been up to for the past week or two?
Well, we've been fishing inshore and offshore. We've also we finally found the tuna after, research on our own time. We put a trip together for just me, Matt, and Russ, just the PhD crew, and went out there looking. We went 70 miles towards the edge, and we went 40 miles overboard looking for these tuna because we love tuna so much.
And what
Found the
is
grass, found 10 Cadillac mahis, and we say Cadillacs. Those are just another name for gaffers.
okay?
But they were, they're like Coupe de Villes. They were nice ones, man. They were just medium caddies. But I got up on them, but it was just so much. You couldn't really do anything about it in that much grass, man. They were moving. They were on the hunt. They were working a grass line, so they're on the move. And you can't get a bait out to them. You can't slow down and chum them. People that fish for mahi, you'd understand what I'm saying. But when you fish for mahi, there's a couple ways you do it. You troll, or you get them slowing down and throwing some bait and getting them feeding and keeping a few on and
Hmm.
getting them in the boat. But you couldn't do any of that. It
Interesting.
was tough. It was tough, man. So yeah, we shagged up for about an hour, and then we just worked the edge for a little longer. And by then it was time to burn the torch on in. We stopped and hit a couple goldens on the way in just for some food.
Hmm. So when you talk about going 71 miles to the edge and then 40 miles, did you say overboard?
Yeah, that's right. When you get out to the continental shelf,
Hmm.
it drops down to we were in, let's put it this way, we it was 8,400 deep, 8,400 feet
Ooh,
deep. And it sits at,
wow.
and I never realized this when but it sits at 7,200 feet for a good ways. Like, can you imagine being like, all right, let's go golden tile fishing, you're overboard and you're 41 miles you got to run 41 miles just to get back to the edge.
That's crazy to
I
get
like,
back to like reasonably deep water. Because when you're at the edge, right before you drop,
yes.
how deep is it
Yeah.
right there?
Usually the edge is considered 600 because 600 is is on the charts. When you see that edge drawn out, most times that's around 600 feet.
Okay.
Because you get, like, put it this way, you get out there 80, you get to go a lot of miles, and it turns into 150. Then you get the 200 right there. The 200s are rough because it's just about to get deep. That's where you get slapped around a bunch, and then once you get to the deep, it's 600, 700. Then it just drops to 800, 900, 1,000, 1,200, 1,500, stuff like that.
Wow.
So you're out there
Does the
really.
water get smoother the deeper it gets, or is that just uh
I think in a certain way, but you get bigger swells, but it's gonna be the same thing when you get wind blowing. And
yeah.
the hard part is Now, look, I'll give you a tip too, people. Don't do this. That's a tip. There it is.
Here's the
Right.
tip.
That's
Don't
it.
do it.
All right. First tip is don't do it. Second tip is if you feel like you've got to get to the warm water. Now, look, the plan was not to do that. The plan was to find this eddy that slid out over the Virginia Beach area, and it was only about 10 to 15 overboard, which I don't know, that would, 110 this way, 85 that way, 90 that way. It was a dime a dozen. I thought, well, it didn't work out. Like I said, it was
Mm.
41 miles. But if you're going to go that far, just remember that you didn't look at the forecast that far. Most times, when you're at the house and you're looking at forecast, you're like, all right, the water's gonna do this, the water's gonna. You didn't put an extra 41 miles on the old. Let me check out what it's gonna be doing way out there. So,
Yeah, that's a
so
hike, man.
yeah, yeah, man. So, but anyway, we had a good time, man. It was a great time. Good rest. We got away from land, got the 5G vibes going for a little bit, and came back. But I got a good tuna story for you coming up from yesterday.
Man, I'm excited to hear about that. I do have one more question though about that deep
Yeah, go for
water. I kind of pictured almost like that feeling of when you jump in a pool for the first time in the shallow end and you kind of feel secure, and then when you get to the deep end and your feet can't touch anymore, you get these like weird feelings. Like, does that ever cross your mind? Like, go back to the first
it.
time that you went over the
All right.
shelf. Like,
You,
do you
you
get
get
like a
you
weird
you've
feeling?
unlocked what you wanted. Here's what you wanted. This is what the juice is. Look, and everybody who listens all the time, here's what I got to tell you. I'm gonna, as I talk to Luke all the time, I'm gonna start adding, so every so often just a story. And Luke just triggered a story. This is a great one, guys. Here we go. All right, so I finally get the first time ever to the edge. Look how it lines up perfect.
Yeah.
I finally get all the way out there, and it's a 19-foot Key West with a cobia tower with a 115 Yamaha. We're way out there. We've done the fingers. We've caught some tuna and marlin and stuff. We thought we were pretty cool. We felt good about.
Yeah.
Anyway, so we're out there deep, and I've got Martino, and we call him Joey. We got Joey, and we got Todd on the boat.
Uh-huh.
And I go all the way out there, and I was like, you know what? The bite was slow that day. We just needed to creep cruising. I was like, we got the range. Let's test it. 1,100 feet deep. I finally get in there. I'm like, guys, it's 1,100 feet deep. We're at the tip of the Norfolk Canyon. I'm like, we're in here, guys. It's deep. It's slick calm. It's pretty there. I was like, you guys want to take a swim? They're like, yeah. I was like, well, hold on, fellas. I was like, go up top. I was like, you guys go up top, and look, when you guys jump opposite ways so the boat doesn't fly, but you got to do it on three. One, two, three. They're like, all right, one, two, three, and they both jump. And right when they jump and hit the water, I gun it. One, and I'm like, one. They both of them. I just look at the dots behind me cling together, dude.
Oh my
And
God.
I was like, one. I do a huge donut. I'm like, one. And I see them like with their hands out, like, what? They're waving their fists. They're waving them, dude. They're like, get back here. I come flying back around. Like, dude, they're ghosts. They're like, oh, you're in the boat. They get in the boat, dude. They're like, you wait till you jump in. I was like, when you jump, I was like, dude, I am never ever jumping in the water with you guys around me ever again. I was like, forget about it, please. There you
Nice.
go. There's your story. You
Are those
wanted.
guys are those guys still your friends, or
Hey,
have they
Todd's
like,
still my best friend, dude. I love
oh
it.
my
And Joey's still a good
gosh.
friend too, man. Yeah, but
Oh my gosh,
yeah,
that is
there's a
too
story.
funny. Thanks for
You've
sharing
unlocked.
that story. That
You get a
was
story every so
ah,
often. That's
that
a
was
good one.
priceless. Got
Dude, that's a great one. You can just picture them. And look, they got smaller and smaller as they did. They swam together real close, and I see the whitewash, the perfect whitewash going to
oh
them.
my gosh.
It's
But I
getting
mean,
smaller.
to their
Dude,
benefit, that's kind
yeah.
of a cool thing to say. How deep have you ever swam?
You know what?
8,000
I'll
feet.
go out to 7,800 and just to top them up, 84. I'll bust in real quick, but I am not going with them on the boat. I'll go with
Uh-uh.
Russ or my mate or somebody who works for me that has to stay there. But then
That
again,
has
if
to
they
come
work,
back.
wait. Then again, if they work for me and they're mad and they're having a bad day, Russ. Hey, by the way, Russ, if you're listening to this, Russ, I love you, buddy. You're good and best.
Please don't leave
Russ,
me out
don't
past the
ever
canyon.
get to me, man. Come on, man. No, I'm just kidding.
All
Yeah,
right, so so we're out tuna fishing. You guys had a tough trip chasing, didn't find what you were looking for, came back in, hit a couple of rosies and golds on the way back in. But tell us about the successful tuna trip. I mean, everybody I think is really curious to hear, like, talk us through like where did you decide, like, based on the trip you took that wasn't successful, did that change your,
my trajectory.
yeah,
Yeah.
like,
Well, here's the deal. And this is the honest truth for people that know this area and know how hard it is to find out where to go this time of year. You're looking at a satellite picture, right? Okay. You're looking at the Rutgers free one. You're looking at whatever one you get, but it's gonna have this hot water that's moving up the Gulf Stream that,
yep,
the Gulf Stream's coming up here and it's pushing along the continental shelf where you want to line up to it. And it's good fishing there usually. And the whales are there and the birds and the bait.
Mm-hmm.
So you want to find that area, but 3 days a week in this time of year, 4 days a week, heck, maybe even 5 days. You're gonna have overcast skies. You're gonna have storms. And you know what that does for the satellite picture?
You can't see
It
it.
obscures it to nothing. You have no view, no nothing. You have to guess where it was, guess where it's been, go where it's been 4 or 5 days ago, and throw the dart. And you
And
throw the
hope.
dart. And when you throw that dart, you're out there and you finally land right where you think they're gonna, and it's still cold water. You're like,
Mm.
crap. So we headed northeast and we were like, we're gonna run into that little eddy, man. Never did it.
Oh
Every
no.
dude, point by point on the screen, you're like, all right, it's getting warmer. It's getting 62.1, 62 point. Oh, there it went back to 59. Crap. And you're just like, oh my God. And you're just pulling your hair out. You're like, where is it? Then you just know that the water's down to the south. So you're like, guys, we're just gonna send it. And when you just run into and you finally see it start to come out, you're like, we're just gonna make it. And that's primal, man. It's a dude, it's
Yeah.
nothing like an adventure like that doing it. I get it. It's success like no other when you find it. And I get it. They got a nice North Carolina fishery down there, and that's good for them. Dude, they're stoked. And it kind of, it's kind of they want to hold on to it long as they can. They'd rather not see it hit us first, so they can keep their businesses rolling until business
Right.
improves for
Right.
everybody and the economy gets better.
Yeah.
Obviously, especially with our last speech with the city getting us like they did. Anyway, so we went all the way out. So here's what I did this time. I was like, you know what? It's right there. I'm gonna have a lawn dart. I'm gonna throw it there. I think it's gonna be right on the wrong edge. This was a few days ago. I don't know where these guys have been catching limits. I don't, it's not like I mean, I could talk to the gentleman down there, and I do know a lot of them and speak with them from time to time. But I'm not a give me some info so I can come
Right.
rob your
Right.
face. So I don't like to just do that. I like to find it and be proud of that we did it. And anyway, so I run out there to the south, and I got this peg on it for about 98 miles. I got a charter
Wow.
with us, four people, and two didn't show for the or two for the walk on. One of his, I guess he needed two spots filled, and I kind of played coy. I sent a text out to 850 something people or 64 people, and I didn't make any post saying I had two spots for Sunday because I love tuna, and I get to get. If we don't have
Ah.
a few spots, heck, I told the guy on the boat, I was like, "Yo, we're still going. I'll take theirs." He's like, "No, he was a nice guy, Travis. We love you, bud. He fishes with us, Navy or a military guy, brings a lot of Navy guys and military people with us, and fishes with us all the time. He's a good guy. Might even
Yeah.
take me up in his airplane, man. Might even
Ooh.
take me fishing, man. That'd be dope, dude.
That
Anyway,
would be
so
very
but
cool.
he's passionate. He loves fishing like I do. He's crazy. I love it. Anyway, so we get out there and he's got his crew and they're excited to go anyway. We go all the way out there and he's got one gentleman in the beanbag. That's how it goes sometimes when you go that far. And we knew the weather, we couldn't leave early. Well,
Yeah.
by the time we get there, because of the weather, we had to just knew it would be a longer day the other way. So by the time we get there, the boats have already. I pull up to where I'm thinking I see the warm water start early, and I put the lines over. Right when I pulled the lines over, the waves were taller, so we couldn't have a great radar picture. But I look
Hmm.
in front of me, and about a mile and a half up, there's all the boats. There's 20 boats.
Oh
I was
wow.
like, what do you know? Well, there's the whole fleet. Now, when I get to the boats, though, um, I noticed there's not a single center console or nothing out there. It's all gigantic, and I'm like, all right, charters love them. And then I'm like, oh, every green stick everyone had a green stick.
Oh.
I could count, I could memorize the count of how many I saw without compared to how many did. All did, two or three didn't. Like
Okay.
that's how it rolls. So now and then this is a great thing, and they would probably some of them I'm sure know it what's going on. But we roll the boat through the boats. We're watching the buddy slow down. We hear on the radio that it was red hot first thing in the morning. People got their limits and left early because they were
Oh
down a little
wow.
bit lower and smacked them real good and got in early. And including Steve Richards. Steve, good job, man. I mean, not Steve, Bill
Bill.
Richardson. Yeah,
Yeah.
my bad, Bill. Yeah, and they did great. Shout out to him and short rigger crew. Anyway, so we get all the way down there. We start fishing with the boats. We see one picked up here, a couple there. They're moving. It's kind of quick. It's not a lot of fish being caught. We keep it moving, trying to find out where the bite is going to be. But on the way, I ride by this big buoy, and sure enough, I see a big blue flash, and I'm like, "Here it comes, boys!" And then bang, we get nailed by I'm telling you, this thing had a foot and a half, 2 foot tall head on this mahi. He was a big bull, like 20 to 30. Anyway, nails the Sterling tackle. What's up, guys? We were nails the Sterling tracker bar on the outside and whams that sucker and it comes off, man. After
Ah.
after a good wham, good 40, 50 feet of line. I was pulling back, a little bit and it just came off on us, man. Just came
Probably
unglued.
just not a great
It,
hook.
no,
Not a great hook set.
he had bit so hard that he didn't let go and pulled it far, but you could see the bite mark like a half inch before the hook. So
Ah.
he got all the ballyhoo he wanted, but just did the right move for him that time. So, anyways, we turn up. I turn left and see the pilot wheel starting to pile up, and I just see tunas just airing out and busting everywhere. It was like, all right, here we go. Get ready, guys. It's gonna be ours. And sure enough, man, by the time we punched it in there and slowed it, it just didn't come together. It didn't. Another boat went through where we
Oh,
were. It didn't have one either. It was a lot of following, a lot of what you figure out is, and I saw a lot of jumping during the middle. All right, so during the middle of the day, you see a lot of stuff moving and jumping. It's the fact that these guys were, and I credit to them. They had what happened was I figured out the feed. Here's what was going on. You got to figure out the feed. Here was the feed. The pilot whales were pushing bait together. And we saw some bait, so when they finally pushed it together with, and don't get me wrong, they got a tough task with all those boats sawing through them.
right.
But they're trying to communicate and push these two piles together where they finally run a big bait train on one side to the other side, and they push it all together. When they finally push it together, it freaks the bait out, and all the bait gets eaten by the pilots, but they squirt out to the sides, and that's when the tunas freak and get them everywhere because the bait school finally spread out. It's not a school anymore, and it's
Mm,
spread out. So they start, and you can just see them all popping. So what they do with these gigantic, man, these big things on the back with this big bar and all this commotion on these green sticks is looks like the whales are pushing it together, and then they got these squids dangling. It's beautiful to see. They got these guys yoking on this thing. The mates are working hard, and I credit to them. And anyway, so and then they're just ripped. They're catching them good doing that. So it's gonna be a little tougher when they're out there, and when you get stuck in between a couple, and you're just like, all right, I guess we're going north now. That's that. That's a wrap. We're doing north. Nah, you can slow down and get out of that. That's all you gotta do, guys. Good tip. Just slow it down a little bit. Don't worry about it. You're not all gonna get bit, and it's kind of cool at first because you're thinking if they're anywhere between us, we're combing so hard, we're gonna get them, boys. But when you get pinched, you're just like, all right, time to bail out, boys.
yeah.
Anyway, so getting back to it, I waited for them to all leave, man. They all left. All the charter boats went in at a certain time. They were like, back to Oregon Inlet. They went. And I looked at Russ, and it was time to go in for the charter for sure. It was already
Yeah.
time to go in.
And you got to
And,
haul
we- and,
back
and
if
we
you're
had,
90 miles
yeah, yeah. I
southeast of
started,
Virginia Beach.
yeah. So I was about 95, 98-ish there. And I was about 95. And I started thinking to myself, I was like, you know what? And I'm part of the crew now because I'm one of the people that paid to go.
Yeah.
So I'm like, we didn't get a full boat, and that was intentional. So I'm like, you know what? And look, we had already lost a couple other bites that they just didn't come tight. They were just short bites that you saw the bait gone and other things. So getting to it, man, I was like, you know what? I looked at Russ, and he's up top with me, contemplating the life with me up there for a minute. He finally came up. He knows the things are pretty much over, and I was like, you know what? And he's thinking it wasn't going to happen. And I say to Russ, I say, man, I could go home and spend an hour upset at the house, or I could stay out here for another hour. I'd rather stay out here for another hour than go home for an hour and be upset.
There you
And
go.
and sure enough, I see, and I'm still bobbing and weaving. I've had the bait in the circle. I've had the tunas in the circle. I've made great moves,
And they
and people
just
are like,
won't connect. They just won't tackle
it
it.
just wouldn't happen yet. And then I, within I don't know if it was 5 minutes of me telling Russ that. Bow one, bow two, bow three. He runs downstairs. Bow, 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 bow. We're just getting hit with all of them. Bow, bow, bow. It's like a machine gun. These guys are screaming and yelling and grabbing all the rods and going nuts. And I'm like, I made sure to tell them, but before they were smart. They didn't grab the rods at first. That's how we got the multiple hookups. I was like, listen, guys, if we get bit, leave the rod in the rod holder. And
Okay.
everybody's like, all right, cool. So they did that so we could get a few more bites, keep it moving. And we did, but at a certain point, you want to slow these trains down. And they did. So we came together, and it was a few more came off, and then we had three tight. So out of
Nice.
all that we had three tight.
Upgrade your waterfront with Killer Doc's premium dock furniture, built to last a lifetime in marine conditions. Crafted from marine grade aluminum with a protective anti corrosion coating, it's tough enough to handle the elements while providing unmatched comfort. Featuring sunbrella cushions with fast drying, removable covers, our furniture stays securely in place even in storms. Choose from cabanas, club chairs, love seats, tables, and more to create your perfect dockside retreat. Durability meets elegance at Killer Dock. Check out the full collection at killerdock.com today. Looking to protect your dock with materials built to last? Shoreline Plastics has you covered. As leaders in composite marine dock pilings and building materials, they engineer solutions that stand the test of time. Their EcoPile is the ultimate composite piling designed for longevity and eco-friendliness, ensuring your dock remains strong for years. And if you need a quick fix for worn pilings, try Snap Jacket, a durable solution that restores and extends their life. Visit shorelineplastics.com to discover how you can elevate your next marine project. Shoreline Plastics, where durability meets innovation. Now, I'm curious, when that happened, just rough idea, what was the water temperature? What was your trolling speed? And what did you guys have out in your spread?
Oh man, Russ had 12 rods out, so good luck with that.
Wow.
Russ,
Okay. So
Russ had
there was a lot to
Russ
spread.
Russ had man, he had all the meat out there. We had trackers, we had spreader, we had daisies. We were in there. We were committed. We had a nice school of bait. And we had
That's
lots of
awesome.
meat. We had lots of meat in the water too. Yeah, the water temperature, we had been sitting in about 74 to 75. It seemed like the sweeter spots for the for the bite that day was outside a little bit of the edge. The edge had a lot of grass on it. It was broken up. It was shag day. It was nothing but shags everywhere that day, but yesterday too. Shag, shag, shag. My
What's a
mate.
shag? What's a shag?
Okay, there's yellow grass out there. No, the grass goes tight. It's a grass line. Now, if you have to cross the grass line, sometimes they're really thick. You don't want to do it, but you have to do it from time to time. There's thinner grass lines. These long lines of these weeds. There was lots of long lines. And there was other ways can be broken up. So picture it broken up. It's deep. It's multi-leveled. Not it's just not the usual. Let's put it
Yeah.
that way. It
Yeah.
was Shag City. They call it shag because when your line gets hit by a bait and it sticks to it, you're shagged. You got your just bait don't run right. They're not going to eat it. You got to
Ah,
keep fighting shags all day. It's the nickname for it out there. It just
got
sucks.
it.
So they were busting. I had the charter was doing it. I was like right flat, left flat. They were busting the flat lines. I mean, this is a lot of work to get to what
Yeah.
we were doing too. To get finally to some clean water. Anyway, we finally got the clean water at 75 degrees. We're going deep, and boom, we got the 3-pack on there, and we get one of them really fast to the boat. So this one's like a 30-inch. It's green. It's going freaking out, and the guy had it. I don't from rod holder going for the motor, so it got lifted by there, and boom, busted him off. Boof. All right,
Ah,
there's 0 for 1. Then it just happens, man. They're crazy. You got other stuff going on. The other guy's already got his at the boat. You got to choose. You want him to slow him down and pace him out. Your people reeling him in, even they're excited. But this guy, man, he was tough. He's
cranked him
strong
in
and ready.
fast.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, man. I love the military. Amen. So he's getting it in there, man. He's getting it, and before long, he's already got the rod and the rod holder, and he's leadering up probably a 55-pound tuna, man. And he's never done that before, and he's leadering it up. And now, this is an important value to learn. There's a certain point where if the mate would have tried to dive in there, it might not have done anything because it was already going on. It was just so fastly happening. He was running from one side to the other with the gaff. And as he gets there, this guy gets to the point where the tuna tests you.
Yeah.
He finds out who you are. Are you the guy who's gonna see if what I can do if I swim, or are you gonna be the guy who's gonna pull me up and finish me? And the
Yeah.
guy didn't. It was just who just fought the fish lifts up, and a certain point when the fish goes down, he lets go of the leader, whoop, 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 and the no drag, whoop, bing, bang, catapult, lost him. Right? I mean,
Ah,
it's so fat, and it's a charter you can't be like, "What are you doing?" And I
right.
did, of
Right.
course, I did, because it was on my time. We're overtime, we're not overtime, so I was like, "Hey,"
Yeah. You
I was
need
like,
that
"Oh."
fish at that point.
I did, man. I was like, yo, man. I was like, you needed. I was like, I was like, oh, Russ, you needed a leader, but Russ couldn't because he just didn't have the time to get there. He just really didn't. So,
Yeah. Too
and
much
and
going
and
on.
and, and the guy was doing his best. So everyone did their
Yeah.
best. Everything was. And then the next one came in. We stuffed him in the grill and got him in the boat. Great celebration. We were stoked.
Bang.
Amen. First two, it's the first two in the charter. They were pumped. They were really happy. So we go back around. We get the lines back up. Russ is really fast. Had his baits ready to rock, and he got it back out because I was like, they're here again. I short circle back into him and bang, we get 3 on. I get 2 on, but at the third one I'm watching him eat and he eats it bang and he just boom, he just comes unglued again. So we had 2 out of 3. We got 2 on again. Boom. We get the other one. One of them, oh man, it was a nicer one too.
Mm.
But it was a way nicer run. You could just tell, and it gets over, I guess, over top of a daisy out there that we're watching this other one get closer to the boat. It was closer first, and the other one, the further one out, I guess cross. That's what we figured out and it popped. I don't know how, but it's she go. There's another couple things, but anyway, I ain't gonna add it. So we go to the other one and we go all the way to this other one and we get them all the way up and it's a frisky one at the boat. I got to put it in gear to keep us moving to pull this fish up while he's swimming it. And bam, Russ stuffs it beautifully, man, right in the
Mm.
mouth. Gets this one in the boat. It's a nice one, 40-pounder, 45. And then, by that point, I went circling back through it. I mean, the midnight oil is burning. Where there's another boat out there tile fishing,
Yeah.
and we're about it. You know what I mean? It's 5 o'clock. Yeah,
Yeah.
we're 100 miles from Rudy. No,
At
I'm just
five
kidding. We're
o'clock at night. That's
it's
crazy.
it's 5 o'clock, man. And I was like, I still pointed it for the barn. He put them all. Russ, when I see Russ still putting them back out full blast, I'm not stopping. I'm like, all right.
Yeah.
He didn't give me the look like, are you ready to go yet? He gave me the look like, let's kill. And
Yeah.
so I was like, here we go. So I just kept I put it. What I do is it's called head for the barn. You kind of put it on autopilot for the barn and see what you can get.
Yeah.
I'm eventually going to hit the cold water, which makes you have to pick them all up anyway, or the
Right.
grass
Right.
line.
Yeah. You like want
Something.
to squeeze out that last little bit of
Yeah,
chance
but
to connect. Yeah.
nature will eventually force you to stop. So that's the way I look at it. You'll
Yeah.
have the one inclination to stop. So we start and buddy, we get a run like no other. It is a big ice. Like
Oh,
it is so awesome of a run that and look, I love our crew and I love people that drink and have a great time. And it was not because they drinked and had a great time. But I love adrenaline. I love the energy of it all. But while the boat's going with two motors, 300 Yamahas in gear, doing
moving.
7 miles an hour, and there's a fish running the opposite direction at 20 miles an hour with a bait in his mouth.
You run
You've
out of
got the
line quick, huh?
well, you've got a lot of friction going on, and that's not the time, what I say in the beginning, to not grab the rod out of the
Oh
rod.
no.
He jumped up on the thing and yoked it down and body slammed it to the deck, and it was like yoing, gone,
Ugh.
busted. And I'm talking busted, got it all the way back, gone, man. I'm telling you what, man. And it
Ugh.
was a big one. It was a big eye. So I had to do my dance up there, the F dance. No, I'm just kidding. I was up there. I was up there like, God, I could just see. I just saw stakes and anyway.
Yeah. Yeah.
And fortunately for us, we ended up getting another one bite on the ride in. So we had another bite. It was a great run. It was a big one, and this one shocked us because it was about a 65 pounder. Came up to the side and
Oh
man.
no. Don't tell me she got away.
Well, let's see. I try to wash the memory, buddy. This is
Oh
the coming to a
no.
closure. But
Oh
this
no.
one, this one, oh, this one was not a bluefin. And these fish will come to the boat in a certain rhythm, and you don't slow down, you don't do anything. But this fish can get coy of the boat or scared of the boat and go straight down on you. And when they go straight down, it's the worst place to have a tuna. When they are up on the side, they're up and out, or you're leading them at a good rhythm, or straight down is really tough. You know what I mean? If you're not bumping with props and all these other things, you got
Yeah.
outboards, it's tough. So you got to keep a little bit of speed going, a little bit of speed going, lead them up, try to swim them, calmly.
Yeah.
Well, when that fish makes them, when you put it back in gear and you start moving forward, and that fish goes to the back, man, he puts a lot of tension on everything, and the angler's got to be ready to refight him if you have to. The drag's got to be ready, and the hook, the leader, everything's got to be ready to go. And this thing rifles out, or like just boom, it just made this frantic
Mm.
explosion, and off he went, man. So
That's so tough. I mean,
yeah,
it takes
that
me
was,
back. It takes me back to a conversation I had with Stefan Turco, who caught that bluefin tuna out of the kayak, and his older brother Quentin Turco, who told him, "Hey, when you go out there, just remember it's a tuna. You have to be perfect
oh no.
because they expose any one tiny thing that's wrong or done wrong
Yeah, Russ didn't do
or
nothing wrong. Russ had everything
timed
tied and did
wrong.
a great.
Yeah,
Russ did a great job. Let me make sure and his leadering, you
yeah,
couldn't have done nothing else. You just and the guys being excited, you can't stop that. And the guy
right.
jumping up on his charter that he booked for everybody for his buddies,
Yeah,
like he's the main. We call it the primary, like on the that show.
yeah, like on below deck. Yeah,
Yeah, but he's the primary man. When the primary jumps up and blows it, you're like, but and you still love the guy. I love fishing. His passion's like
yeah.
mine. He's super passionate, and
But
he was the guy handing off every rod in the beginning. He gave every fish away to his buddies.
that's
He wouldn't even
awesome.
reel one in. I was like, buddy, listen, I needed to tell him. I was like, yo, I need a ringer. I need a fish to get in the boat, buddy. Grab a rod. You need that
Well,
guy
I mean,
sometimes.
to that point though, I'll say because like I just went tuna fishing for the first time last year, and then again this year, finally caught my first one. I mean, it's an intimidating encounter, and until you've done it many, 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 many times, would you ever even feel like remotely quote unquote comfortable or like in the zone, so to speak, to like know exactly what to do and to move and operate. So like to anyone taking a charter, that's kind of like a good little, um, you know food for thought. Like, don't expect yourself to go out there and nail everything. Like, you're probably more likely to make a small mistake that the tuna exposes than to get it perfectly right until you've done a couple, dozen tuna trips.
When you get out there and you go, we went 4 for 4. You're like, yeah, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're just, some of us know. I mean, look, after 20, 30 years, 40 years of fishing for these tunas, man, I am going to learn something every day that, you know what? The main thing is that although we chose a great job, that doesn't have the same robotic. I'm not filling the same form out or selling the same thing or doing the same. It'll be different all the time.
Every
Just like
time.
selling, just like a lot of jobs, man.
Yeah.
It'll be different. You never, they can, like you said, exposing things, but they'll also show you, you can learn something every
Yeah.
single time you do it. And you're like, wow. Or, and then also you work on your teamwork,
Right.
our
Just like
teamwork,
your
anything.
buddy Todd learned, like if you're driving the boat and
Yeah.
you're
Don't
in
jump.
8,400 feet of water, don't jump out of the boat.
Don't jump with the wildy, bud. Wildy will leave you, bud, dude.
Oh
That was
man.
crazy.
Well, thank you for the report and the stories, dude. It always, I feel like I'm there with you, like reliving, what happened as it
Yeah.
happened. And it's just good to hear that there's some tunas, within quote unquote, I'm using air quotes right now, within reach. I mean, you got to be
Oh yeah, that's
committed.
the best part. Let me tell you that. Good man, that's the best part. Okay, so while I headed north at the end, I tried to get ahead of the waves. I knew they'd be coming at me a tiny bit, so I was trying to get them to my side a little. So I kind of trolled a little bit north to get them on my side a little more. It's a little tip at the end I do. But I did while I was doing that. That's when I ended up turning finally. And the point of this is, oh, I got my last bites 90 miles away, boys.
Hmm.
I got my last bites 90 miles away. So I got, we got a trip coming up Wednesday. I'm sure this won't be out in time, but we have a walk on Wednesday. We're gonna see if we can load up or not. It's last second. I doubt it will load that quick.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was only 90 miles. So it might be just me, Russ, and one more person. And we, watch. I'd love to see a cover up.
Go
That's
find them, go get them.
go get a couple more in the boat and get them before the season. The season's really going to kick off here. Our bookings are real tight coming up, but we still have plenty of days available at Plain Hooky Charters.
Yeah. Tell us about how we can book that trip if we do want to get on board.
Yeah, man, you can check me out at 757-619-3530. But the best way is to look on that website, pick whichever trip you want. It's by the hours and it's by how far we go and what we catch. And you'll have a bunch of different options if you want to find out. And you just give me a shout or a message or book a trip. And let's get out there and catch some fish. It's a Playin Hooky Charters, PlayinHookey Charters .com.
Perfect. Awesome. Yeah, and for folks that are listening that have their own boats and go out there and try to, learn a little bit about what Captain Bill's saying and then execute on their own offshore trips, the best thing you can do is go get a Hilton's Real-Time Navigator subscription. While you were talking, I was pulling up the sea surface shot from the last clear day, which was June 1st, yesterday.
Oh,
And,
nice.
you're talking about going south-southeast and finding that hot water line where it went up to 74, 75 degrees. And I could see that and kind of get a picture of like, okay, that's kind of the direction that hot water's moving. And it's just a lot easier to understand where you're going and where you're targeting when you can get a really good image. And Hilton's does a really nice job because Tom Hilton, the owner and operator, he takes all that satellite image data and puts it into a format that you can easily, read and understand, and help you get located on the fish and not waste a bunch of fuel and time wandering around in cold water or trying to swim back to the boat if your name is Todd. Um,
That's right.
Always a pleasure, man. Thank you so much for hopping on and giving us an update.
You got it, buddy, man. You have a great day.
You too.
Great evening. All right, buddy.
All right, guys, that's going to wrap up a fun talk about tuna and a wild story out in the deep with Captain Bill. Stick around for a word from our sponsors. We'll be back with you real soon. Sam Rust Seafood, your locally trusted source for premium wholesale seafood. Servicing customers from Hampton Roads down through the Outer Banks, Richmond, and surrounding areas, including Fredericksburg, Charlottesville, and Lynchburg, for over 80 years. Committed to the highest standards in the industry, Sam Rust distributes the best of the ocean directly to your restaurant, hotel, or grocery store on time and at a great price. Visit samrust.com to discover how quality, tradition, and sustainability come together. So don't cuss, call Sam Rust. It's time we talked about catching some serious savings. Imagine harnessing the power of the sun to cut your energy bills and having a roof that's built to last. Convert Solar and Roofing specializes in top-notch solar installations and durable roofing solutions that stand up to the toughest elements. Their solar panels are designed to maximize efficiency, and their roofs are built with premium materials to ensure long-lasting protection. Whether you're out on the water or at home, their expert team ensures you're covered. As fellow anglers in the Lower Chesapeake Bay, the team at Convert Solar and Roofing cares about both sustainable living and sustainable fishing. So reel in those savings today and visit www.convert-solar.com or call 757-44-SOLAR. Make your energy and roof as reliable as your favorite fishing lure. Call Convert Solar and Roofing today. All right, y'all. Welcome to the second segment this week. I wish we could be in the studio right now, but sometimes you got to work around the captain's schedule and make the magic happen when you can. So I'm actually driving right now to an appointment, and joining me is Captain Eric Myers with Heads and Tails, who's also driving. And where are you driving from? What was going on today?
We were just pulling the contender out of the water to change some trim seals, get ready for the season. Had a little bit of had a slow leak on one of them, and just got tired of adding fluid.
Yeah, I think I saw in somebody's Instagram story that was walking down your dock. It looked like one of your motors was hanging down in the water. I mean, is that an expensive repair? Or is that something that you can do yourself? What's the real root of the issue there?
It's just a cap on the bottom part of the trim mount or trim ram.
Okay. Uh-huh.
It's not hard. It's not a hard fix. In the scheme of things, it's probably the easiest and least expensive thing to fix.
Copy that. That's good.
Anytime you get to the back of the boat and have problems, it typically starts with thousands.
Yeah.
I don't think we're gonna be too far into it. Probably like $300 maybe.
Okay. You know, it seems
as long as nothing else is wrong.
Yeah, it seems like to be a charter captain, you almost have to be like a 101 boat mechanic as well, too, at least in order to survive.
For most of the easy stuff, like oil changes and anything maintenance wise that you have to do to a boat, yeah, you kind of have to do it yourself.
Right. Unless you're like Robbie Bryan, who has a whole manufacturing shop going in his garage right now as he's fiberglassing and building, and that's taking it to a whole other level. But at any rate, I know you got something else in the works. I'm not sure if you're ready to share about it or not, but there's did the contender and the bay boat have a baby?
What did you say? You broke up there.
I said, did the contender and your bay boat have a baby?
Yeah, to make one giant inshore boat.
Tell the listeners what is it? What's next in the lineup for Heads and Tails?
We went ahead and got a 27-foot skiff, basically a barge with a motor on the back, and that'll help us for our inshore fishing trips. For be able to take more than 3 people or so.
Yeah, that gives you room for casting without hooking each other, and then out on the bay. I mean, shoot, that's going to be a perfect sheep's head platform too, isn't it?
Oh yeah, our wrap has redfish, trout, sheep's head, and flounder on it, and rockfish.
That's awesome. And who did your boat wrap?
AG Wraps.
Oh yeah, John Hall, AG Wraps. They did the back of my my boss's boat. Looks really sharp. Anything vinyl, custom, whether it's like office need or your boat, they can do it.
I was very impressed by the work. It was very good work. Very, I would say, very well priced for what we got. 27 feet of wrap.
Well, that's what you get for working with a local company. They tend to be more reasonable and want to invest in the long term of the community they're working in. So that's great to hear. Well, tell us a fishing story, man. What have you been? I know you guys do a little bit of everything, but in the last couple of days, what have you been primarily targeting, and what have you been catching?
The last couple of days, I mean, all last week, pretty much weather sucked. We were stuck inside. I did a couple puppy drum trips and a couple memorable trips with Freedom Hunters.
Uh-huh.
I got to take a couple active duty and a couple veterans out for 2 days.
That's awesome.
We were able to give back to them. We did really good the first day. I think that was Friday. Caught a lot of redfish, a lot of puppy drum, anywhere from like 16 inches all the way up to like 28.
Wow.
And then Saturday we started in the gale. That was magnificent. I think it was blowing like 35 when we left the dock. Perfect. The whole river was mine. There's nobody out. which is weird for a Saturday, and I think that was June 1st or
Right.
May 31st.
Yeah.
Which
May
is nice.
31st. Yeah. So what is Freedom Hunters? What is that organization?
So they do a lot of hunting trips with active duty and veterans for our local area. Really, really cool group. We got hooked up with them through Josh Bourne with Wingman Guide.
Very cool. Hey, speaking of Josh Bourne and Wingman Guide Services, got to give a huge shout out. If you guys remember a couple episodes ago, we had his daughter, Ava Bourne, on the show to talk about her senior project, Tight Lines for Tiny Fighters fishing tournament to raise money for AES Cancer Foundation, which is Trip Seed in honor of his late wife. And Josh texted me the other night, out of 92 people in her class that did a senior project, she won first place.
Yeah, it's freaking awesome.
Yeah,
and it was a fun tournament with a great turnout.
Oh, I heard it was amazing, and she killed it with the administration and running the tournament and the scales and getting everybody involved. You know, I enjoyed interviewing her on the show and hearing about the results, but to hear that she actually turned around and won first place at First Colonial High School out of 92 students, that's incredible. So, Josh, if you're listening, congrats, proud dad moment for you and Ava. Congratulations on first place. Very, very well done. I think we're going to probably see that tournament around in the future, if I had to guess. But anyway, so Freedom Hunters organization gets active duty and veterans out hunting and now fishing. You guys caught some puppy drum. Were you mostly staying inside of the Lynnhaven?
Yeah, we fished inside Lynnhaven up in I think Friday we fished pretty much every part from Laskin Red all the way to Virginia Beach Boulevard. Just trying to find, a spot that had a lot of fish.
Right.
There was we caught a ton of fish, but I think we kept 10. 10 drum and like 2 or 3 bluefish.
Okay.
Stellar in anyone's book. Not to mention we caught a bunch more. It was a good time.
Good. I'd love to know a little bit more, because the last time that we talked and you told us a little bit about what was going on inshore, temperatures were rapidly changing. Water clarity was rapidly changing. It was like during that spring tide when there was those huge swings. How has conditions changed in the inlet since we last talked, and how is that impacting the bite and getting located on fish?
So if you're not used to fishing mud, you're going to be shocked. The river is definitely dirty. Very dirty and not clear. But all the fish that you were seeing and catching, they're all still pretty much hunkered down in the same areas. We're starting to get a lot more of like I say ocean run of fish, but typically we get a push of fish that are really skinny, really mean, not the fish that we've been catching all spring that are all super fat and full of parasites. Like they have all those sea lice on them. These ones are typically really clean and really, really white colored. They don't have like the deep tinges of copper and orange, blue.
Oh, you said really skinny and really clean. I thought you said really mean. I'm like, how do you know the attitude of these fish? You're saying they're clean because they're not burrowed down in the mud. They've come in maybe from some bay water cycles or something.
That's what I've always assumed this time of year.
Yeah, that makes sense.
We typically get a good run this time of year of really pretty, and they're all usually typically, when you get on the ones that are just now coming in, they're all about 18 to 24 inches. So they're typically all eating size fish, which is nice.
Are you still throwing like your typical Rolodex of like a combination of top water, those light jig heads with Z-mans, or you're popping cork with a shrimp, artificial shrimp on it, or are you completely changing up your lure and presentation? And what temperatures, by the way, Yeah, talk me through like what's working from a tackle perspective, and then what's that kind of target temperature that you're seeing the most success in.
So we're getting temperatures anywhere from like 68 to 77, depending on where the tide is and the time of day. Shallow water heats up fast, so you'll start off the day in 5 feet of water at 68 degrees, and then by noon you'll be in 70 something degree water, and it'll be really slam packed with a bunch of bait.
At any rate, going back to the puppy drum, you were talking a little bit about the kind of ideal water temp that you were finding them in, and just a quick recap. What was that temp, and then what were you using for your tackle to get the bites?
So we're fishing kind of towards the front of the inlet. We're fishing anywhere from like 5 to 20 feet of water right now. So it's a little bit different for each spot, but most of my rigs have been 1/4 ounce weight with a piece of crab or a piece of live menhaden or mullet. This time of year, it's a big transitional time, so they're really chasing bait. They're coming in from out in the bay or the ocean or wherever these other fish are coming from, and they are hungry, but they want to be where the bait is.
Okay.
And typically, right this time of year, there's a lot of new bait around, small menhaden, small mullet, and it's really hard to get a bite on artificials during the day unless you fish early in the morning. And then you can get away with fishing like topwater or jigs around docks and stuff. Grass lines.
Yeah, you mentioned earlier about how, if you're not used to fishing a muddy river, it can be a bit of a shock. And is that kind of what you're talking about now with regards to like the water clarity and fish being visual hunters, that as that water gets more and more dirty, the prospect of getting a bite off of a visual attack is less likely? They're going to be more keyed up on actual bait and things that are driven by scent?
Yeah, I find it turns more into whatever you can get the freshest bait, which smells typically like cut blue crab or cut bait. You can use live bait and put out cut bait right next to it, get a bite on the cut bait first, which is always a shock to some people. But the dirtier the water, usually the more scent or the more noise you'll want. So you won't be using like jigs or use topwater plugs. Fishing shallow with a lot of current, anywhere from like 2 to 4 foot of water off of points and docks. We'll typically only fish topwater till 8 o'clock in the morning,
and then transition to your baits. Well, that's exciting to hear. I mean, do you think that there's going to be a prospect of a good flounder bite inside the inlet? Does that typically kick off anytime soon, or is that still a little ways out?
The flounder fishing in the inlet was phenomenal. Like last 2 weeks, been a lot of I would say small flounder, like those 15 to 18 inch fish. And then some bigger ones getting caught too, up in mid 20s, like 23, 24 inches.
And I remember regulations kind of changed a little bit on flounder. What is it right now for the minimum size and bag limit?
That's a hard one because I haven't even looked it up. We haven't actually.
You got your new bride helping you out with the real-time Googling?
Yeah, real-time Googling.
There we go.
I want to say it's 16 and a half.
Okay.
That's 4 per person.
Okay, got it. Yeah, that sounds like I remember from last year about the same time. That's exciting to hear though, because I know that's one of most people's favorite inshore fish to catch and eat. I'm terrible at flounder fishing, but if you could give us like 1 or 2 pro tips on, targeting flounder in the inlet.
17 and a half.
Oh, it went up
from June 1st to December 31st.
17 and a half.
Yeah, it's 16 inches from January to May.
Okay. And then it changes. Okay, so we are in the 17 and a half range. So that's a different class of fish than a 16-inch fish for sure. But if I want to target one of those, I mean, if you could pick one lure and one time of day and one tide cycle to target a flounder, what would you choose?
Well, flounder are really heavy on eyesight, so I would always say the last bit of the incoming tide. It's usually when the water's going to be cleanest and coolest. And then for bait, I mean, you gotta go with, if you're gonna go with live bait, it's either gonna be, if you're doing store bought, it would be those mud minnows. If you're doing stuff that you can catch yourself, it would be live finger mullet.
Got it. Copy that.
Those 2.5 to probably 4-inch finger mullet.
Yep. You know what story I want to tell right now, but I'm not going to do it. I'm going to spare his feelings. But the last time that I remember seeing a flounder with you, it was one of the largest flounder I've ever seen in the inlet. And unfortunately, we never got to really see it for too long.
Yeah, that was a big fish.
Like close to 30 inches. But remind us, listeners too, like the critical error that we made there that we can potentially avoid when reeling in a flounder. What's that one key thing to make sure that you do right up until you net it?
Leave that fish in the water.
Right.
Leave that fish in the water and don't yank on it too hard.
Yeah.
Once it freaks out and the head breaks the surface of the water, they usually go for another run, and that's usually when you pull off your fish.
Right. Or in our case, we didn't have a great hook set, and as soon as that head broke the water and they were able to shake their head, they shook the hook right on loose.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's hard to get a good hook set in a flounder.
That was a heartbreaking fish, man. That was like a 10-pound flounder easily.
It all sounds like fish stories when we talk about it on here, but it's shocking the fact that those size fish are in the inlet.
Yeah.
I mean, what were we in, like 1.5 feet of water?
Literally, I think it was like 2 feet, and he thought he was snagged on the dock until he wasn't.
Yeah, it was a snag until it started running. And I was like, "Ooh, that's a big flounder."
Oh God, yeah. Well, as we wrap up, I want to get you back to your bride, and our listeners want to get on the boat with you. What's the best way they can contact you and Heads and Tails and get booked?
The easiest way is to call me at 757-573-9569. Or they can go to my Valley Pro account and do all the booking right on there, and then you don't have to talk to me at all.
Perfect. We'll save the talking for the trip. I'll definitely drop the Valley Pro website in the show notes as well as your phone number. And always a pleasure catching up. And we're very excited to see that new 27-foot skiff in action. I think that thing's going to be awesome. You're gonna have some killer trips with that thing.
It's going to be a game changer for sure for our inshore fishing trips.
Good deal, man. Good deal. All right. Well, thanks for being on. Yeah, thanks for being on the show, man. I appreciate you carving out some time in the midst of a busy day.
Yeah, man, no problem.
All right, folks, that's going to wrap up the show this week. Thanks for tuning in, and we're going to take a break here, listen to some great information from our sponsors, and we'll be back with you real soon.
The days of heading out and blindly looking for good fishing areas are pretty much over. Don't waste time and money on fuel searching for fish. What you need are the most recent, highest resolution images to not only know where to go, but where not to go. The knowledge provided by today's technology is critical when planning an offshore fishing trip. So make the choice that captains all up and down the East Coast make and choose Hilton's Real-Time Navigator. The easy-to-use interface and excellent customer service will have you on the fish every time you go. Check them out at hiltonsoffshore.com. Hooked on fishing? Then you're part of the local community that Long Bay Point Bait and Tackle cares about serving and giving back to, providing you with the right selection for each season's target species. They're your one-stop shop to gear up with the best bait, tackle, and insider tips to catch your next trophy fish. You can fuel up right out front on the water and then chat with the crew inside for hot tips on where they're biting. So swing by today. Long Bay Point Bait and Tackle, where your fishing adventures start and finish with your trophy catch on their scales. All right, y'all, that's going to wrap it up this week. Please subscribe, rate, and review wherever you listen to podcasts. And remember, to get your free APCO Camo Sunglasses Cleaner Cloth, text the acronym LCBFR to 779-345-2918 to get your promo code and be added to our email list so we can send you the new show each week. You guys keep on whacking them and be safe out there.